Is it everything okay with me? Yeah, okay. Okay, yes, so let's start. Today, I will tell how we in Alemira using Django for managing Google Compute Engine. So let me introduce myself a little. So I working in Alemira right now, but also worked in companies that made educational content, and so right now let's continue with our abstract of what we are going to cover today. So I will tell you what is Virtual Labs project, so what we in fact do in Alemira, and why Google Compute Engine and integration with Google Compute Engine is so important for us. And also we will discuss how to develop a Django backend for working with Google Compute Engine. We will go to demo to show how integration really work, and discuss a couple additional topics. It's RDP and what if not Google Compute Engine, what we can use instead of. So our agenda is scheme of application and resources, and we will so I will show you the scheme of applications that we are using in Alemira. So discuss a little what is Google Compute Engine, so if someone didn't know, and also discuss how to make a backend for Google Compute Engine when we need async tasks, and also discuss RDP protocol, so it's a remote desktop, and why we use RDP, so not VNC, for example. And also look at the amazing project from Apache named Guacamole, and discuss how to use it to access remote service, and also look to other possible solutions, and of course you can answer some questions. So what is Virtual Labs, and what in fact we do? So it's a project that helps to educate, and so we provide the possibility to study from any place. The only thing that student have to have is the browser. And so what we provide for instructors, and we provide them an application when they can create virtual machines and virtual environments based on images, and use multiple virtual machines for inside one lab. So why it's important? For example, one of our client who used our services is Acronis, and they make solutions for cyber protection. For them, it's important, for example, to test that learner have to, for example, resolve tasks that related to maybe open some ports for communicating one virtual machine with another, or for example block it. And that's why we also provide an opportunity to have multiple virtual machines inside one lab. And for student, of course, the main feature is that they don't need to install anything on their site, so they just need to have browser. and they can try to pass lab as many times as they want. So it's it's important too, because in fact there aren't any administrator who helps them. So we just using images in Google Compute Engine to start new virtual app session, and learner can try it multiple times. So so let's go to our scheme of application. So in fact, our application is Django monolith, and so the stack is very common. So we're using Postgres as a SQL database, and Redis for caching, and also for working with asynchronous tasks. We deploying our stuff into Kubernetes, and it's also very helpful because from Kubernetes you can use some features like running cron jobs so with some additional parameters. And of course, we are not using Django for front-end. Front-end is separately project on React.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes, of course.
Run the cron jobs in the Kubernetes.
So it's in fact it's management commands that can run into containers. So you are setting up the schedule inside Kubernetes, and for example, you can even set up that you want to have only one process in one time, for example, to avoid multiple simultaneous running crons for one management command. And so in fact, it's just setting up management command and run it into containers. So you are running new container every time, and after it finished, you just kill it. Yeah. Okay, so we can finally continue. I'm not a host. It's super. Yes. So and so I believe that from here I said already everything. So we can continue. Yes. So it's my day. So it's yes. So it's just application in Django. So and let's say a couple of words about Google Compute Engine. Yes, so maybe everyone already knows, so or used it. No? Okay, so in fact, Google Compute Engine is a platform that allows you to get region-specific and high availability resources. So, for example, if you are working with some particular tasks on Google Compute Engine, you can pre-build image, and after that, you can run it with different CPU and memory resources, and you can optimize it to your application. And also, so one of the interesting features is possibility to encrypt everything. Of course, Google is watching on you, but you can try to encrypt. And also in Google Compute Engine, you will receive hints to optimize your resources. So for example, if you don't use any virtual machines for a lot of time, or Google monitored it and checked, and after that just realized that you need only 10% of these resources, it will say, okay, so you can save up to, for example, $50 per month, just go to another type of virtual machines. And so one of features that we using from Google Compute Engine, so another is a possibility to suspend already created virtual machines. So it helps to boost starting time. So, and if we are working with such type of resource, of course, we can expect that some open source solutions for that. So, in fact, it's at least 3 different type of solutions that you can choose, and the first one, and it's the solutions that we are using, is the provided by Apache. It's Apache libcloud, and it's very popular, so you can see the amount of stars that they have. And the main advantage, so for them, is that they provide possibility to have already written solutions for different type of clouds. So for example, if you going to use not only Google Compute Engine, for example, Amazon or AWS or something else, in Apache libcloud, you will find it. The second solution is more popular for users, but it's more specific. It's official Google API client. And of course, if you are going to use only Google as cloud service, it may be enough for you. Of course, they keep their solution up to date. But so the minus is that if you need other services, you have to find other solutions, so just use libcloud. And so if you are not a fan of Django and Python, there are other solutions. For example, it's fork written on Ruby and gcloud written on JavaScript. So anything else. So if, for example, in your infrastructure, you have a lot of programming language, and for integration, you are using different programming language, not Python. So it's easy to find open source solution for any programming language and for most of platforms. So Google Compute Engine objects, so what you are going to phrase mostly is the images and virtual machines that created from images. So for images, you can create public or custom image. And for example, if you are going to share your image with anyone, you can do it in Google, and also you can find already prepared virtual machine images and use it and fork it and edit it, everything that you want to do. So you can start, for example, from public image, and after that create custom image from the public one. And for Google virtual machines, so as I said, that there are different type of virtual machines already with already prepared configurations. It can be used for different type of needs. So for example, you can scale in Google Compute Engine. So for example, you can use clusters, so with as I remember, up to 224 CPUs. And of course, if you are working with different tasks, so you can use high memory or so compute intensive, so which is very fast for calculations. Also you have an ability to configure your virtual machines by your needs. And of course, it's very important for our customers because, for example, some of them used only browser inside their virtual apps, but someone used very heavy applications inside, and that's why they need a large amount of resources. So in your application, when you build it, so you mostly will need an objects that are related to objects in Google Compute Engine. For example, for two main objects inside the GCE, virtual machines and images, you have to have ability to ask for these images via API or just check something. And of course, it's very convenient to have related objects inside your applications with some additional parameters that you are going to use. And when you build in your application, so there are some possibilities. For example, if your customer said, I have a very good contract with Google, and I want to use my own resources. And so let me use your application as a service, but I will use my own resources for running virtual machines because it's cheaper for me. And that's why, so one additional level of abstractions that can be used here is so we named it environment provider. So in environment provider, so you can set a list of credentials for customer and user for organization related to customer, his own resources when he ran anything. Oh, yeah, so a little code. For virtual machines, there are some properties that you will want to save. So at first, of course, that virtual machine is related to some image because it's based on it. And also, so the very important that on Google Compute Engine, you can run resources. So for user in Australia, you can run it in Australia. So it's ridiculous if you will try to run it on Germany, and GCE provides this opportunity to run region-specific resources. So, and some additional information just to store everything that will help you to connect with the virtual machine. And also the interesting fact here is that we, as you can see in mixing, that there are proxy model mixing. There are some open source solutions that can help you to create proxy models. So we are used to write them by ourselves, but the main idea of proxy models that you are, for example, if you are going not to use not only Google Compute Engine, you will, so you are going to have a lot of common methods. And that's why it's helpful to have one proxy model for different type of environments. And after that, just customize it for different platforms. So, and there are questions so that you are faced when you are creating backend class in Django. So it's, of course, use cases. So why you decided to create a new backend class? And so for Google, for cloud resources, it's to working with images, working with virtual machines. And also you have to think about structure. And when you are thinking about structure, you can just imagine. So, for example, what I have to do if GC is not available, or I want to move to another platform, or I want to use a lot of different GCs. So what I have to do. And of course, thinking about patterns and how to store your credential also important. So for example, we of course used for credentials encrypted fields. And so for example, for patterns, from patterns, we are using template method. It's close to proxy in models because you are defining at first everything that you are going to have in your application. So for example, for working with compute engines, you need to work with images. So, and there are some basic operations like get list of images, get image, create image, and so on. And what we propose to do is to define it at first into template, and only after that create your custom backend to where you customize all methods that you are defined here as abstract methods. So, and here you can see that, yeah, another part of a very beautiful code. Here we just define all methods that we predefined in template. So it's, as you see, that we used libcloud for some already developed methods, and after that we just add some additional code to make it works with our application. Yes, so, and yeah, let's have a little demo. So in fact, right now we are into instructor mode for virtual labs. And what we can see here is that there's some environment that we have. And so let's look into, so yeah, so here is instructor mode of virtual labs. And here we can see that, yes, so in this virtual labs, we are using one Ubuntu image. And so let's try to, yes, start lab. So, and while the lab is started, we just, so let's look into, yes, some APIs that we have and we will use. So we are using, so let's look into, yes, okay. So what is the session? Yes, so okay, so let's just create a new one. Yeah, so let's look what we have here. So we have an environment. So it's Ubuntu 20, and let's look our inter sessions that we are going to have here. So it's and what we have into this session. So and just yeah, so not so beautiful as expected. Maybe just is local. And so what we can see here is that for this session, we are using virtual machine based on image. So let's just look also into virtual machine API. So for VMs. Okay, so here we can also see the regions that we are using. Europe North, it's the closest ones that we can select. And let's look at, yes, so everything, so it's very close to be already prepared. And let's find this virtual machines inside our compute engine, just to check that it's really in compute engine. Yeah, so yeah, of course. So we are going here. Yes, so and a little bit more. Yeah. So yeah, we in our Google Cloud we can see, yes, that we are using this virtual machine. And VM instance, and let's go to okay, so yeah, something like magic. Yeah, so we have also access to this virtual machine here. So let's just try to edit it a little. So for example, go to terminal and just so touch a file. So how should we name it? Let's say that it's, yes, so timestamp for now. Okay, so let's look. Yeah, we have this file just created. And what Google Compute Engine provide you as possibility is to create new image based on your virtual machine. So after that, you can just save your virtual machine. And so after that, you can see that, for example, in new started virtual machine, of course, this file will be exist. So for yeah, in our application, we are using Swagger, of course. So let's just look at virtual machine ID here. And yes, so in Django Meetup 1152, so 1952, and then execute here. Okay, so we already have some ID for this virtual machine. It's ID in our side, but we will create the virtual machine with the same ID in Google Compute Engine part and look at for this what we here. So it's VMs. Let's look at this image.
This is running locally right now? No.
So this application, of course, is running locally, but Google Compute Engine is a real compute engine, as you can see. Yeah, so application is running locally, of course, because for another environments, I can't show you something like that. Yes, so in fact, so here we already created an application and so image, and we can see that it's not ready yet. But when it will be ready, so that it takes often 2 or 3 minutes before it will be created. And after that, we can just run another lab with this image. So let's just continue with our slides. Yes, so, and in fact, what we just seen here, so that we are see the screen of virtual machine inside our browser, and we used RDP protocol for this. So in fact, there are different type of protocols that you can use. It's RDP and VNC, but they are one of Uber feature from RDP is working with clipboard. And for students, it's really very important because, for example, they can just create scripts that they will go after that into their virtual machines, so in preferred IDE, for example, in PyCharm, and offline only after that copy and paste it. So here, host and terminal service is the Google Compute Engine, and client and display is my laptop, and display is browser. So, and one of the main advantages of Guacamole that are between browser and GC is that it's clientless, that still everything is you need is browser to run it. And but for example, if you for some needs want to use a different protocol, so Guacamole also gave you this opportunity, so you can use VNC and SSH and other popular protocols. So let's just go back to our image. So maybe it's already prepared here, so we can see that is ready is true. And for example, if we are going to create new virtual app, we can, I hope, see it here. So it's Django Meetup. So yes, 11:52. So one. And after that, yes, so here is some opportunities for instructors to add tasks and steps, and also acceptance criteria that will check that student did complete everything correct, and acceptance criteria can be so developed on Python, and just check, for example, if the goal of a virtual lab is to create some file with some content, you can write script on Python to check that the file exists and the content is what we expected. So, and as we see that for this new session,
So guacamole is running on the image.
No. So guacamole is another. So guacamole server is something that we also running in our infrastructure. So it's inside the platform. So we are not using it as a service. So I'm not sure that it's possible to use it as a service, but I believe so. So in Guacamole, you can run at least hundreds of simultaneous connection to RDP, and there are also some features that just not exist in other solutions. So, for example, you can share your session with others. So make it in read-only mode and in edit mode as well. Yes, so let's continue with here. So it's VM and it's created into new, so based on new image. So we just have to, yes, so it's our old session. And yes, so here, yes. So, yes, so let's just look inside our terminal. Yeah, so magic, this file exists because this lab is run from the new image. Okay, so let's continue with our presentation. And if your customer said to you, I don't trust Google, so let me run my virtual apps on my own protected environment. Yes, so you can use different solutions. And for example, the most popular one is Openstack. Virtuoso, in fact, is a very beautiful OpenStack with a lot of already existed features for creating and managing virtual machines. So, and in fact, that's why we used a lot of proxy models and templates. So just to have an ability to use different cloud environments. If we look into backend, so it's just a child for our base backend class, and we can see here absolutely same methods: image list, image get, image create, but it was developed for communicate with OpenStack, because so deep inside Virtuoso have an OpenStack API. And maybe this slide also will answer for the question why so difficult, why not just to use directly libcloud or everything else. So just develop your own applications, so and complicated application over it. So just to be flexible. So that's all from me. And if you have any question, feel free to ask.
So there is a possibility of running virtual apps on AWS, for example.
You can develop your backend that yes, that will provide you this ability. But right now, our services are so supported Google Compute Engines and OpenStack. Yes, but yes, so and we are waiting for the first customer. So when the first customer said, I have AWS and it's very cheap for me, so just provide me an ability to use it.